This is Garbage's song. Garbage's song. I'm only happy when it rains. A couple of reasons why I'm playing this to start today's episode of Dylan Knows, episode 286, What the Flerkkin. The first being the Captain Marvel has come out after a long, long wait. The first new Marvel movie of 2019 is out, and I have my review here. The quick review, it is the most Marvel Comics, Marvel movie you ever see. It is epic, fantastic, and everybody needs to go see it. We'll get more into that a little bit later in the show. But with the 90s setting, where Captain Marvel is set, there's a bunch of really good 90s songs, and Garbage's Only Happy When It Rains was one of the songs that they used. But another reason why is because here in the mid-Atlantic region where I am talking to you live, out here in Reisterstown, Maryland, on Saturday, the 9th of March, episode 286 here, we are going to be getting rain. A lot of rain overnight tonight. Let's see, what do the weather people say it's going to start? The weather people say it is going to start at 11 o'clock, 40% chance, and go through 8 a.m., 50% chance. So temperature's going to skyrocket, though, up to the 60s tomorrow here at the Mid-Atlantic. We got 100% rain from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., 90% from 1 a.m., and 7 a.m. as well. So we've got a lot of rain coming our way. So, and I've always liked the rain. Those of you who watch the show know I like the rain. So there's that. So what else we got going on today? Wow, we got a lot of stuff going on today. Captain Marvel review, St. Patrick's Day, nipple sweaters, deaths, including a couple of big ones. Well, one particular big one, Luke Perry passed away this week. Also, we are not celebrating, but it's the 25th anniversary of John Candy's passing. So talk a little bit about that as well. Saw some new trailers. Some stupid people, some smart animals, some local news, which might be pretty interesting. Good news for those who like to vacation at the Outer Banks, which I'll talk about in a little bit too. Celestial Buddy Earth plushes. Not as much food as last week, but we got some food stuff to talk about a little bit. I think I said St. Patrick's Day, so I'm going to say it again over. And why have I been pulled over by the police 3 times this year, once every month? I will explain why and more in today's episode of Dylan Knows, number 286, What the Flerkkin. No, I may as well just start with the Captain Marvel review. I don't think I'm going to do a spoiler review because I really want people to go see this movie without any knowledge of what it's about, except the generalization, which I'm going to tell you about, and what I tell you is going to work and what isn't. And maybe down the line, I'll try to grab MJ Khan again, and we'll do our definitely spoiler-filled review of Captain Marvel. This will just be a quick review of it because it did come out this weekend. Came out yesterday, actually technically Thursday, but it is on pace to become the 7th highest grossing Marvel Cinematic Universe movie of all time. Take that, all you haters and woman haters and incels and all you assholes who tried to bring it down. It ain't going to work this time, buddy, because it's on par to make close to $150, $160 million domestically. And they're thinking an additional $200 to $300 million overseas. They're looking at a $400 million opening weekend, which is stunning. It has already broken the record. Probably as soon as it hits this, it'll break the record for the. It has already opened the record for the highest opening of a comic book movie with a new character. I guess not like Batman or any of those like that, which are old characters or any of the sequels. You know, it is, as I said, the 7th. Now the 6 movies in front of it. This is just to give you some perspective. You've got the 3 Avengers movies. Obviously, Infinity War was huge. The original Avengers, because that's where the MCU was. The first phase of the MCU was heading, and the second one, everybody wants to see the Avengers together. Captain America: Civil War, which in all intents and purposes was an Avengers movie, also had all those characters and also had the first appearance of Black Panther and Spider-Man in it as well. So you had that as well. So that's another big one. So that's 4. Number 5, Black Panther, obviously was a huge hit all over, and should have been and was, and it's an Oscar winner. It's won 3 Oscars, so you can't beat that as well. And finally, the last one was Iron Man 3, which is not the greatest movie of all time, Marvel Cinematic Universe movie of all time. But the reason why it's so high up on the list is because it was the first Marvel movie in Phase 2, and that got everybody excited. Like, okay, we saw where Phase 1's going. So where's Phase 2 going to go? So everybody wanted to go see Iron Man 3 to see where Phase 2 was going. And then you have Captain Marvel. So that's just an amazing job by the film. It is a great film. As I said before, it takes place in the 90s. This is a kind of mini spoiler, but there's no time travel or nothing involved with that. It's just the way the story worked out was this takes place in the 1990s. We learn the probably about first half hour or so, the movie might be a little confusing. But once you get past that, it actually, becomes quite clear. And then everything that you thought was confusing at the beginning actually makes a lot of sense when you see the second half of the movie. Brie Larson's performance as Captain Marvel, everybody was like complaining about how she shows no emotion and blah, blah, blah. And that was just going by what was on the trailers. Man, you guys are total tools, because she goes through the entire range of emotions in this. She laughs, she smiles, she frowns, she gets angry, she cries, she gets upset. She does the full range of emotions. Just because you didn't see them in the trailer doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It happens. You get a great performance out of her. I thought she did a fantastic job. I thought her banter and her chemistry with Samuel L. Jackson's young Nick Fury was just as spectacular. And I would love to see another film with just the two of them together, because they played off of each other so well. It was great seeing, in a limited capacity, young Coulson back in an MCU movie. He hasn't been in one since the Avengers. So it was good to see Clark Gregg back in that role. And he doesn't, he doesn't have a big impact, but there is one sequence in the middle of the movie which shows exactly why Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury feels such camaraderie and partnership and trust with Clark Gregg's Coulson, that it makes absolutely perfect sense. Down the line, we learn more about Carol's life. We see returns from characters that were in Guardians of the Galaxy, Ronan the Accuser, and Jaimin Hansu's character, which I can't remember what his name is, popped up there. Jude Law's character, I can't remember what his character's name was, is a typical Jude Law performance. Is fantastic. His eyes kept drawing my attention. They're these like yellow, weird looking eyes. It's pretty crazy, but that was pretty interesting to see that. I loved seeing Annette Bening as a Supreme Intelligence. She was fantastic, and it's great to see her. She seemed like she was having a blast doing the show, doing the movie, particularly near the end of the movie, which I'm not going to, again, spoil. I'm not going to give you spoilers or anything like that. Marie Rambeau's character, who was Carol's best friend, she pops up near the end of the film also and is fantastic. And her daughter, Monica, for those comic book fans know, Monica Rambeau was the Avenger Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers became Captain Marvel. And since this takes place in the 90s and Endgame takes place nowadays, Monica should now be old enough that maybe she's got something going on too. Maybe we'll see her in the movie. So we'll in the sequel, the Avenger sequel, so as a grown up. So we'll see what happens with that. But just and then of course Goose the cat steals every scene she's in. And one little light spoiler, there are 2 end credit sequences. I'm not going to talk about the mid-credit one, which is a major big story continuation, as I should say. But the final one, the last one you see at the end of the credits, features Goose in a really funny scenario. You also see a bunch of other interesting aspects that pop up, which leads to the Avengers listing of movies. So you get basically this is the prequel to the entire Marvel universe. Now you'd think Captain America: The First Avenger, which was chronologically the first film in the MCU because it takes place in the 1940s, that gave you a little bit of a vision for the future, but this was something else completely different. This shows basically the setup for the whole Avengers aspect coming up. We learn, spoiler alert, we learn how Nick Fury loses his eye. It's unexpected. Anything else really? I really don't want to get into too much without spoiling it. And I don't want to spoil it right now because I truly think everybody should go out. If you haven't gone out already, you've got one more day on the weekend. Go out tomorrow and see it. If you can't do it during the weekend, if you can make a date for next week, absolutely go see it then. Or if you need to wait till next weekend, that is just as fine either. Just go out there and see it in the movie theater. It is well worth it. If you love the 1990s, it's a great 90s soundtrack featuring Nirvana, REM, Garbage, Tool, I think, is in there. There's a few other good, hip hop artists who I didn't quite recognize, but I knew the songs, but I couldn't tell you who sang them. So you got a bunch of that also. There's some good 90s references in there. Obviously, everybody knows the Blockbuster one, but there's some other really interesting ones. There's a joke about computer downloading time. The Skrulls make a very interesting alien race, and I actually, when I first saw the pictures, I thought they looked kind of ridiculous, but seeing them now up close and with, I guess, going through some special effects stuff, they nailed the Skrulls. I think they did an excellent job with the Skrulls, and I really enjoyed them as well. And we get some good action sequences. Obviously, Captain Marvel, shooting stuff up with her powers, but you also get some aircraft fighting. You get a couple of army type attack stuff. So kind of interesting aspects and some unexpected surprises and things you weren't expecting to see show up. Again, it's kind of a spoiler. Nothing really surprising jumps out at you. Like there's no surprise cameos or anything like that. The Stan Lee tribute at the beginning is fantastic, and then his cameo in the movie is just, definitely Stan Lee. It's fantastic. Comic book fans, keep your eye out for Kelly Sue DeConnick, who was basically the writer who restarted Captain Marvel as Carol Danvers and basically had a nice long run on the series. And basically a lot of stuff they took from the movie came from her run. She makes a nice quick cameo appearance. If you know what she looks like, you can't miss her. It's actually spot on. The camera focuses on her briefly. So good on that. So well worth it. Again, as I said, I don't really want to ruin too much. I would love to just ruin everything, but I think I'm going to wait and see if I can get in touch with MJ, and maybe sometime later this month we'll get into more gory details about it once everybody's had a chance to see it a little bit. But my recommendation is it is the most Marvel movie you've ever seen. Just meaning that from what I've seen watching this stuff, it is one of the most true to the character and true to her backstory. Obviously, there's no appearance of Miss Marvel and Binary and all that, but it just seemed like they took the comic book and just put it up on the screen, and the way they filmed it and shot it and the storylines and stuff like that. And it's funny, has its funny moments. It's action-oriented. There's a lot of exposition, but it's done very well, and well worth the absolutely. So that's my quick review of Captain Marvel. Definitely should check it out. As I said, I will get more in depth with MJ sometime. I'll talk to him in the next couple of weeks, try to set up a time where maybe we can set one up, maybe early April, like a month before Endgame comes out, maybe we'll pull this out and I'll get him together and we'll talk about that. Maybe I'll get a couple people together. We'll see. So that's my Captain Marvel review. Highly recommended. It's probably somewhere in my top 10 Marvel movies of all time. I'll have to think about that a little bit and see where I would rank it. But it is well worth it. It's very enjoyable. It's fast paced. It didn't seem overly long. As I said, the beginning slogs a little bit, but that's the point. They're trying to get confusion going on. And eventually, once you get through that, things start taking off very quickly, and it's very well done. So, from Marvel, we'll go to DC real quick. This year marks Batman's 80th birthday, so DC has decided that they're going to unleash a swarm of 1.5 million bats to celebrate Batman's 80th birthday. I don't know when or where or how they're going to release a swarm of bats, or where they're going to get them all. But hey, it's Batman's 80th anniversary. Let's throw some bats out there. Which reminds me, I don't think it's this week. Is it next week? Batman 1000, Detective Comics 1000 is coming out really soon. Let me see if I can get a Detective Comics 1000. It's on sale March 27th, so it's actually not on sale till the end of the month. Okay, I guess they're getting a little bit of a breather. It's 96 pages. So Detective Comics 1000 will be out at the end of this month. I thought it was sooner than that, but okay, that's fine. But as a celebration, DC is going to unleash a swarm of 1.5 million bats to celebrate. I've talked to you for my daughter's birthday. She wanted to do an escape room game, which, one of those things where you are locked in a room and you have to solve a bunch of puzzles to get out, and you have an hour time frame. Well, the UK has a Doctor Who themed escape room now. So if you're a Doctor Who fan and you like escape rooms, head on over to the UK and find yourself a Doctor Who escape room and live your life like you are working with the Doctor. So I think that's a really cool idea. Speaking of doctors, David Tennant's Good Omens, coming out in April, I believe, got his first real trailer to show us a lot of the footage of what's going on, based on the Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett book Good Omens, about an angel and a demon who are friends and who've been living on Earth for centuries, get the word that the apocalypse is nigh, and they have to get themselves prepped for the end of the world. And the two of them look at each other and said, I don't want the end of the world to happen. I want to save this world. So the two of them go on a quest to try to save the world from an apocalypse that they are supposed to be involved in. So it's got a great cast. It's a great storyline. It's a TV series, so it's not a movie. So you're going to get like 10 episodes or something, which it makes sense. There's a lot of information you're going to get in there, but you get the first look at the effects and the characters and the acting and the comedy and the stuff like that. And it actually is exactly what you're expecting to find. So good on all them for doing that, doing a good job about that. I teased this at the beginning of the show. I'll talk about now. The nipple sweater is a real thing. I found this on Facebook today. Let me see if I can pull it up and see if it's a sweater that's covered in nipples. I don't know why you would want to do something like that, but there it is. We do have a nipple sweater out there for your buying pleasure, I guess, if you want. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is right there. This is the nipple sweater. Yes, those are nipples. Lots and lots of nipples. So, yeah. Well, I like nipples as much as the next guy. I don't know if I'd like to see them all over a sweater that somebody's wearing. So I should name this episode Nipple Sweater, but I liked the name What the Flerkkin, which is a Captain Marvel reference, which I'm not going to spoil. But if you don't, but listen in and you'll get the joke when you see the movie. So another reason why you need to go see the movie. There is a 5-layered cotton candy now available at Disney. They always come up with the crazy, weird stuff. But a 5-layered cotton candy. I mean, why do you need to have 5 layers of cotton candy? It's just pure sugar in different colors. I don't know why. Also, the cinnamon sugar churro marshmallow egg from Russell Stover is making your way out there now because Easter is coming up soon. If you like cinnamon sugar churros with marshmallow eggs, why not go get one of those? You might actually enjoy it. So go for it. Oreos are making news again. This time, though, they're not creating something new. They are re-releasing something they created last year. The S'mores Oreo will be coming out again. I actually like the S'mores Oreo also. It's pretty good, so you're going to be getting that. So if you like that, there you go. Blue Bunny Ice Cream has created the chocolate donut ice cream. So it's ice cream that tastes like chocolate donuts, and it also comes with sprinkles. So I think it's all your food stuff. There's not a lot of food stuff this week. I did all that last week. So a new study shows that energy drinks can increase stroke risk by 500%. That makes kind of a lot of sense. That's why I think I'm trying to get away from the energy drinks and get to these type of tea drinks, which I like actually. They have an energy in them, but they're like natural energy, so nothing too divisive there. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about death. There's a lot of death this week. Jan Michael Vincent from Airwolf and a few other like types of are you washing it? Okay. No, you can wash it now. It's fine. John Michael Vincent of Airwolf and many other type movies. He passed away this week. King Kong Bundy, wrestler during the Hulk Hogan era, also passed away this week. This week, well, we'll talk about that after. But the big, I guess, if they have to have a big death, the big death this week is Luke Perry's death. Luke Perry came to prominence playing Dylan McKay in Beverly Hills 90210, where he became a James Dean type of lookalike bad boy that everybody loved. And there was that. He also popped up in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie as Pike in a great role, which, while trying to appease the fans of his Dylan McKay character, he wanted to sort of play a character that was the opposite of Dylan McKay. And he did it in Pike, where the movie written by Joss Whedon that turned into the successful TV show down the line and starred Christy Swanson as Buffy, gives the hero saving the damsel in distress and flips it on its ear, because the hero is actually a heroine, with Buffy saving the man in distress, which was Luke Perry's Pike, who tried to be tough, but was the one that was always getting into trouble and captured and had to be saved by Buffy. And then eventually they end up working together really good, but he started off as the guy that the hero had to save. And in this case, the sexes were reversed, and the female hero saved the male love interest. So that was in itself. And then he's had a successful career after 90210. I think he was in Oz, that prison show on HBO, where he wanted to really show his grown-up side. Then he was in, there might have been a few other TV shows that I can think of, and movies that he did. He did that one about the rodeo guys, like 8 Seconds or something like that. And then he had just recently started working, well, not started working, he had been on Riverdale, which is the updated version of the Archie, mythos for the 21st century, and it's sort of more grown-up Twin Peaks-esque type of thing. And Luke Perry played Archie's dad, who had a regular role in the show. And last week I brought to you the information that Luke Perry had a stroke and was in the hospital. Well, he died of that stroke this week at the age of 52, which is still really, really young. I'm going to be 46 in June. Dawn just turned 45 and on Sunday, so not that far away. So it's kind of a sad story there. I always remember most about him was his character of Dylan McKay single-handedly made my name no longer be unique, because Dylan was now, at the time before 90210, Dylan was a unique name that not a lot of people knew about. And then his character, Dylan McKay, pops up, and the show becomes hugely popular, and he becomes a heartthrob. Now everybody wants to name their kid Dylan or date someone named Dylan except me, but that's besides the point. I remember at college, my freshman year, where they had our names outside of what dorm rooms we were going to be in. They were like paper cutouts, and so it says Dylan and Jared were in this room. Someone wrote McKay under my name after a while, because we keep those up all year round just to show where our rooms are. And so someone had written Dylan McKay on the on it as well. So, and then look, I watched 90210, and I like 90210. I wasn't particularly fond of Dylan's character because of just the way he acted and the way he was. But from what I've heard from other people, Luke Perry was actually one of the good guys, one of the good actors out there, who was very helpful, very friendly, very approachable by fans, and not kind of a jerk like a lot of these people are. So there's that. And this week is also the 25th anniversary of John Candy's passing. John Candy's passing was one of the hardest things about celebrities passing away, because John Candy was such a great guy, a great actor, died way too young. Great character actor, very funny, can do anything really. Was mostly in comedies, but he did some drama, and he did really, really good in the drama. And who knows where we could have gone from there if he was still alive. You can say that really about any actors and actresses who died too young. But who came up with it? Someone made, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, because John Candy's Canadian. Ryan Reynolds, who's also Canadian, he created a like a 2-3 minute long remembrance video of John Candy, of all the performances he did, and just an amazing talent, and gone too soon, and it's a shame. 30 years ago, also this week, getting away from death now, 30 years ago this week, I've talked about Raina Telgemeier's book. She is a artist who writes and draws graphic novels, some autobiographical, some just stories that she created. And she's had a number of them that have been sold by Scholastic, which is, if those of you who have kids in elementary school know, elementary school has Scholastic book fairs every year, where you get a list of books that your kids can buy that are kid-oriented, that you can buy that'll help the PTA and stuff at the school. And my kids always like that stuff. And so one day, it was either we got at the library or they bought one or whatever. We got Smile, which was Raina Telgemeier's first book, an autobiography of her teenage years. And the reason why it's called Smile is because she wanted to tell the story of her teenage years wrapped around a big incident that happened before she was a teenager. And that event happened 30 years ago on Dawn's birthday, actually, on March 3rd. The basic premise of Smile is Raina is a young girl getting ready to become a teenager, and she's in Girl Scouts. And after a Girl Scout meeting at night, her and her friends are, as friends do, we're going to race to, the door, because they're driving Raina back home. And we're going to race the door, and the winner is the winner, and so on and so forth. And so the three of them run, and then Raina trips on a crack in the road or whatever, and pow, comes down onto the pavement and breaks her two middle teeth. And so she has to get them fixed. And so it's just a whole story about, while entering this world of puberty and teenageriness and just the stuff that happens there, having to deal with this tooth issue. Not only did she have these teeth destroyed basically, but she was also getting braces. So the dentist had to figure out a way to create and keep her smile with these destroyed teeth. And it's a really interesting story about how they do that, but it's also an interesting story about what happens to her when she enters her puberty era and her teenage years and the hardships she had there, and eventually her acceptance and stuff like that. It's really a very well written, well drawn story. She did another autobiographical book called Sisters, which detailed a relationship with her contentious relationship with her younger sister. And she's doing her new book is due out sometime this year. It's called Guts, which is going to take another autobiographical look, but when Raina was much younger, about stomach issues she was having. So if she can do it in the same way she did Smile, it could be just as entertaining. All her books are entertaining. She's also done a couple of just straight up stories that she came up with herself. One is drama and one is Ghost. Ghost is probably my absolute favorite of Raina Telgemeyer's stories. And I've talked about it on the show before. Details the story of a girl who has multiple sclerosis and her older sister who have to move to a cooler, damper city in California, from sunny Los Angeles up to Northern California, where you get the sun 68 days of the year and it's mostly cloudy and windy and chilly and small. And she's a teenager, and her sister, who has multiple sclerosis, is not guaranteed to live all that long, and her diagnosis is getting worse and worse. And so they discover that the town is the center of ghost sightings, and we learn more about the ghosts. It's a very well told, interesting, really nice story, very well drawn and written by Raina Telgemeier. And then drama is also up my alley, about a group of backstage workers who work on theater productions in high school. And this one covers their spring musical and all the drama that happens behind the scenes of the play. So also another really good one, but Ghosts is my absolute favorite one. So on March 3rd, 30 years ago is when Raina Telgemeier tripped and fell and broke her teeth and started her on her path to eventually becoming a very successful young adult artist writer. Which, as I said, if you have kids in elementary school, you've probably seen some of these books in the Scholastic Book Fair. I highly recommend you pick them up and buy them. They're not bad. Scholastic wouldn't put them out if they were bad. They're very well done, all ages, a lot of fun. Let's see. Stupid people. Well, this is more of a disgusting people. Man shoots wife and two friends at a birthday party after they would not allow him to drive drunk. Again, why are people getting so stupid when it comes to stuff like this? Last week it was throwing cookies at their loved ones, or burning down a house because they couldn't get their way. Are we becoming this entitled community? And if so, you got to stop. Entitlement is not good. Nothing ever good came out of entitlement, and I'm sick of seeing this type of stuff. These two people were trying to save your life. These three people, I should say, were trying to save your life and the lives of other people and themselves, technically, if you were driving them home. To drive drunk, and then you shot them, which in and of itself also proves that you should not ever own a gun if you cannot control it, which is the one big problem with people who own guns. The big complaint is, why are you trying to take away our guns? Well, people like this, who don't know how to control their impulses and get angry if something doesn't go their way, they can pull their gun and just shoot people because they're not getting their way. They do not deserve to have a gun. And on top of that, shooting people for doing the right thing because driving drunk is, last I heard, is an illegal thing to do. And, this is America. You should allow me to drive drunk. Okay, but you could kill somebody else who isn't driving drunk. I sure as hell don't want to be driving on a highway going 50, 60 miles an hour with some a-hole who has been drunk driving, shifting lanes and not seeing where he's going and trying to run to me and trying, causing all kinds of problems. And then if you're taking people home, putting their lives in your hands as well. That's why you have designated drivers, or you get a hotel, or you stay at the person's house, or you get a designated driver. First and foremost, take the guns away. You obviously do not deserve to have a gun if you cannot control your impulses to shoot somebody when something doesn't go your way. And that's what gun control, smart gun control is. We don't want people to get killed like this. People who cannot handle guns and should not handle guns should not have guns. End of story, period. Some good news for fans of the Outer Banks. This has been going on since the 1980s. They've been pushing and pushing for this, and now it has jumped a hurdle. It is going to look like going to happen. Won't be for a few years, but the Mid-Currituck Bridge now has federal funding. For those who don't know, if you've never been down to the Outer Banks, and I highly recommend you should, the Outer Banks is a nice, relaxing vacation spot with really nice houses. I recommend going with like whole family reunion things. Like we haven't gone the last couple of years, but Dawn's family always rents a house, and there is like 15 of us. And we get a pool, and we have lots of room because all these houses are huge, and it's with 15 people helping pay for the house. It makes it very easy for everybody. You bring your own food because you have your own refrigerator and ovens and stuff like that. You don't have to eat out. You have a grill. You've got beach access. You're close to the beach. It's quiet. It's comfortable. It's a vacation. You just sit back, relax, and do whatever the heck you want. Sleep as late as you want. Go down to the beach. Come back. Just hang out at the pool. Go back down to the beach if you want to. Hang out at the house. If a rainstorm comes, just come in. Stay inside the house for a while. They've got lots of stuff for you to do. Bring stuff to do. There's jacuzzis. There's all kinds of stuff in there. So these houses are great. The Outer Banks is fantastic. It's a great vacation spot. However, until now, there was only one way to drive into the Outer Banks, and that is down, I don't remember what the name of the road is, but you have to cross the channel, or the bay, or whatever you want to call it, which is a long bridge. You have to cross the channel over to the island, which is what the Outer Banks is. And it splits because the Outer Banks is a really, 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 really big island. If you head further south, that gets you to Kitty Hawk and Kill Devil Hills and down towards Roanoke and stuff like that. You can go down that way. And that's where they have more of the, Kitty Hawk has the historical stuff, but they also you have more bowling alleys and miniature golf courses and restaurants and shops, stuff like that, are down in that part of town. Then if you turn left and head back north, you're heading up towards Corolla, Duck, Southern Shores, which is the more quiet, laid back, area. Duck has some shops in it, and there are some miniature golf courses. But there's another shopping complex called Timbuktu a little bit further up the island. Corolla, there's some historical lighthouses even further up Corolla. But Corolla, Duck, and Southern Shores are the more quiet, laid back. Whalehead is in there. Is also more quiet, laid back area. If you want to do more exciting things, you head down towards the Kitty Hawk and Nag's Head and stuff like that. And you get the houses aren't quite as big as they are up in Corolla, but you still can do that way as well. So the only way you could get there is by this one bridge and then split off wherever you're going, right or left. And if you go to the right, it's more like a 2 or 3 lane three to four lane highway, and it's probably easier going that way. But if you're going towards Corolla, you have to head back north, and you're on a 2-lane road. So you got going up and you're coming back. It could take you, you've gotten onto the Outer Banks, but if you live up in Corolla, it could take you over an hour just to make your way up there, because if you hit it at the right time, cars are that you move about 5 miles an hour, and it takes forever to get to where you're going. And then, God forbid, what if there is a accident, which has happened to us before on that highway? Then you're stuck again, because now you've got to work your way around. Literally, there are people who were getting out of their cars when this happened before, and they were walking to their location, and they were beating everybody to their location. It took us 12 hours once to get to our house, when it usually takes 8 hours, 5 to 8 hours, depending on when you leave, to get to the house. It took us 12 hours once to get to the house. We left at 5 a.m., got up there at 5 p.m. That was a miserable trip down, because there's only that one way up. But for years, there have been talk that they were trying to get a bridge further up into Corolla in the mid-Currituck to get another way to ease the traffic for the people who want to go up to Corolla, don't have to go all the way down across and head back up on the 2-lane highway. You would take this bridge across and you'd be in Corolla. So it would be a whole lot easier, a whole lot quicker, and would also lessen the traffic coming up from the south. And in a safety aspect, it gives you another evacuation point for hurricanes, because hurricanes hit the Outer Banks all the time. Some are dangerous, some are not so dangerous. But if you have warning, and you have a 24-hour warning, your hurricane's going to hit and you need to evacuate, it could be miserable trying to get out of there. It would take you hours to get out of there, because everybody's trying to leave. If you have this mid-Currituck bridge, it won't take quite as long, and it'll be easier to get out and quicker to get out. So we'll see what happens. Final hurdle has been crossed, and they now have the federal funds to build the mid-Currituck Bridge, which is fantastic. You can buy a custom replica mask, or full head mask, of your pet cat. So like Jinxie, if I wanted to wear one of those, take a picture of Jinxie, you send this company, they will create a full head mask that I can put on over my head that looks exactly like Jinx. I'm not going to do that, but you can do it now. Also, speaking of pets, the newest fashion trend is pedal bell. Pedal bell is, instead of weightlifting with dumbbells and pumping like that, you take your pet and do this with your pet. It's an actual thing. It's not an onion. It's not a joke. It is an actual thing called pedal bell, weightlifting with your pets. So I can pick up Jinx and I can do curls with Jinx, as long as she doesn't mind it, and that'll help build up your muscles. Because hey, let's face facts. Jinx could weigh about 40 pounds, and that's what you could have for these small little dumbbells. You could be doing 20 and 20 and doing that. But say just grab Jinx and just do this. And there's some other stuff either. There was someone was showing us, not necessarily doing weightlifting, but someone was doing a push-up with their dog on their back to give them a little bit of extra weight they have to do to push themselves off of there. So pedal bell, congratulations. There was a mysterious new orca was discovered in treacherous waters. They believe it is the type D killer whale. The killer whales have the white and the black markings, stuff like that. Well, this one has distinctly different markings from the typical orca, and it's able to survive more in treacherous waters. But they've discovered some new species down in the South African, Antarctican, South American type of area where these orcas tend to frequent themselves. So new animals. Speaking of animals, a Picasso, a pig artist, is in the news recently as a pig that can paint with its mouth. So it takes a paintbrush and dips it in paint and does drawings and paintings that are sold worldwide. So good on Picasso. A little quick science before I turn to the next page. A failed Venus space probe from the 1970s, I guess an American one, I guess, maybe not, maybe Russian, I don't know, will be coming back and crashing onto the Earth soon. Obviously, we shipped it out to Venus in the 1970s. It failed, and then eventually it made its way back to Earth, where it will be crash landing very soon. And I just noticed one other animal one I missed on this first part. Canadian wolves are being airdropped into Michigan to kill moose. I guess the moose population is getting out of hand in Michigan, so they need to bring in predators that attack moose. So they've been airdropping wolves into Michigan to take out the moose. So now you're going to have a whole bunch of wolves in Michigan. So I guess to be continued. Here's a stupid person story. A billionaire dies during penis enlargement surgery. He wanted to get a bigger penis, and he had the money, and while he was getting the operation, something happened, and he died while getting a penis enlargement surgery. So, yeah. A study says kids observed who are kids who are obsessed with dinosaurs are smarter than those that aren't, a study says. Where do you get your reporting? So if you have one kid who is obsessed with dinosaurs and the other that isn't, the kid who's obsessed with dinosaurs is obviously smarter. Okay. No, I don't understand that. What's another study says? I had another one on here. Oh, I'll find it eventually. Oh, well. Oh, there's one. People who celebrate Halloween are the best kind of people, a study says. Again, it's similar to the people you have Christmas decorations up all year round or longer. You put them up sooner, they're happier. This one is people who celebrate Halloween are the best kind of people. I guess it shows imagination. It gives you a chance to dress up and be yourself. And I guess you can make a case, I suppose, that they're the best kind of people because they have no fear about getting dressed up or acting goofy or looking silly and giving out candy and eating candy and being fine with eating candy and telling ghost stories. So I like Halloween. That's why I like the fall. Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you get all of them together, and temperatures are cooler, not winter cold, but cool enough that it's good. You get yourself that. But we're way far away from all that. I mean, we got the tree down last week, but all the Christmas stuff is still just sort of hanging out there. I just need to pull these bins out and throw them all in there, and then like that. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow, but I just don't feel like doing it, Well, we do have the holiday coming up. Actually, next Sunday is St. Patty's Day. Wearing one of my St. Patty's Day shirts. I'm going to try to wear as much green as I can next week because we will not have St. Patrick's Day during the week. It's on a weekend, which is good and all that, but it's bad that St. Patrick's Day is on a Sunday this year. Last year was good because it was on a Saturday. You could drink, be merry, party hardy, and then you'd have one day to recover. Well, now you drink and party hardy, and unless you take the day off, you don't have a day to recover. So voila. But because it's coming, one of the most popular things about it is the wearing of the green, or in this case, the eating of the green. Krispy Kreme donuts will be offering their glazed donuts in green during this week, I guess, leading up to St. Patrick's Day. I may actually have to buy some of those. When I used to work at the bagel shop, a long time ago, the turn of the century, really. No, actually, it wasn't. I wasn't there for the turn of the century because I was at Hanover. It was 1996 through 97, I think. I was at the bagel shop. We had green bagels for St. Patrick's Day. My boss would order a couple cases of green plain that we would make for St. Patrick's Day and put them out there, and they sold pretty good. I mean, they were just plain donuts with green that were green, so good on that. And there were a few times where when we ordered the plain bagels, we got ones that were green, so kind of interesting. So, St. Patrick's Day, you got this whole week to prep yourself. A lot of Irish restaurants and bars and stuff like that, they do a whole week of celebrations for St. Patrick's Day, so I'm sure they're going to be starting this week. That taken care of, so good on that for St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is always a lot of fun. I have a Irish music or Celtic, whatever you want to call it. I have a St. Patrick's Day playlist that I play at work, and there's a couple movies you can watch as well. So next week is when I do this show, it'll be St. Patrick's Day weekend, so we'll see. Maybe we'll cover something like that on St. Patrick's Day. We'll talk about some stuff potentially, but that is, if you want to celebrate it, one way to do it is buy some green glazed Krispy Kreme donuts this week, and you will get some St. Patrick's Day cheer. And I think Dunkin's doing Irish cream coffee, and some weird minty donuts. And of course, the Shamrock Shake is available at McDonald's now. So you've got all kinds of stuff you can do to get St. Patrick's Day ready, and get your alcohol prepped and find your pubs and places to hang out. So voila. This is a really funny story. These next two stories are like good stories for people. A woman won $10,000 from her insurance company because she read the fine print on her insurance policy. Now, we know, and I'll be one of the first people to admit it, I don't read the fine print. So maybe I should, because you don't know what you're signing away. But to me, it would just take too long. It's like, hey, I want to get this done. Let's get it over with. I don't want to read through everything. There are, but if you have scrupulous people, they might put stuff in the fine print and you signed it, and then they might take stuff from you, and you're like, what the heck is that all about? It's like, well, no, you signed it. You read the fine print, right? And they have every right to say, well, if you didn't read the fine print, it's not my fault. I told you, read the fine print, but you didn't, so, or read the contract, so they say. So this woman, I guess the insurance company either must have said, hey, they've noticed that these people don't really read the fine print, so let's see who actually does. And we'll put a little something in there that says, if you read this, say this to us and you get $10,000, something like that. And that's like a really, really in the deep fine print. And this woman, she read it and looked up and said, hey, where's my $10,000? And she said it, and they said, oh, you got us. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So that's a sign for you to read the fine print, because you might win $10,000. This is a local news story. Out in Rockville, which isn't that far from here. REM did a song about it called Don't Go Back to Rockville. It's right like a suburb of DC, about probably half hour, 45 minutes away from here. In Rockville, a man took a DNA test. The big thing about, nowadays is finding out, your genetic, where you came from and who your ancestry is and stuff like that. Well, this guy took a DNA test, one of those local ones, and discovered, that's odd, did a little more research and discovered he is an African prince. He's not related to an African prince. No, he is an African prince. And he wouldn't have known that if he wouldn't have taken this DNA. I guess apparently his ancestry had him as being a relative of the king and queen of whatever country he's from. He's an African prince. Pretty cool, man. The Dutch have come up with a different take on racing. This one is called reverse racing. And everyone in their cars drive in reverse, and that's the race. Try to get ahead of somebody by going reverse. That just is dangerous and has just bad idea written all over it. But hey, it seems to be popular over there in the Dutchland. Alex Trebek announced this week, that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which is not really a great prognosis, but he says he's going to fight it, but it's going to be hard. He's still going to be hosting Jeopardy, I think, unless it gets to be too much for him. But our thoughts and prayers go out to Alex Trebek as he is fighting this pancreatic cancer. So good luck to you, Alex. And this is how cool Alex Trebek is. He actually made a video to his fans and everybody out there explaining that he has this pancreatic cancer, and then he ended up making a dad joke. So he's, got a good outlook on it. We'll see what happens. I don't have YouTube Red. I always get tired of seeing the ads for YouTube Red when I'm listening to my playlists, but you have to admit some of the stuff that they do offer is pretty good. Case in point, the surprise hit of YouTube Red, which was one of its first ever TV shows that was only available on YouTube Red, was a reboot, not really a reboot, a follow-up to the Karate Kid movies called Cobra Kai. It was a TV show that focused more on Johnny, played by William Zabka. He was the actor who played Johnny in the original Karate Kid, and then again in Karate Kid 3, I believe. And or maybe he wasn't Karate Kid 3, but he was the original bad guy. And in the 1980s, whenever William Zabka was in a movie, he was the douchey bad guy type. He pops up in European Vacation as the boyfriend of Audrey, who wants to see other people. He pops up in Back to School as the punk who picks on the main character and is like the king of the diving team and is dating the woman that the main character wants to date, stuff like that. And so he made a career playing these types of guys, and then he sort of disappeared after a while, and then he popped up again in Hot Tub Time Machine for a quick cameo. And then they approached him about doing this TV show and reprising his role as Johnny, and they got Ralph Macchio to reprise his role as Daniel. And you have a different look at Johnny and Cobra Kai, because you needed a bad guy, and they were the bad guys. But now, when you're older, it's time to take a different look at it, and you get a different dynamic between Johnny and Daniel, even though they still have that rivalry going on. They're both older now, and they both have had differing lives, and things have gone south for one and not the other, but things aren't all beautiful for Daniel, and things are looking up for Johnny. And he gets the idea that he wants to reopen his Cobra Kai dojo, and he does. And Daniel, being the guy he thinks like they're going to be bad, I need to stop him. So he opens up the Miyagi dojo, and you get the rest. It's history. Well, the first season I've heard nothing but great things about. Has been well reviewed, and good acting by the characters. And I've only read the descriptions on Wikipedia, so I actually haven't seen it yet, but everybody seems to like it. It was successful enough that they created a second season, and the trailer for that came out this week as well. So we got to take a look at some stuff that's upcoming. You get some, some stuff between Daniel and Johnny, but you get a look at the other characters who are in the series as well, and you get to see more of them than you do Daniel and Johnny, because they're the more focus of the show and stuff like that. So definitely check out Cobra Kai. I heard it's really, really good. If you have YouTube Red, check it out. If not, you can check out the trailers to see what it looks like, and then if you decide you want to try it, then try it. Or you can just read the Wikipedia descriptions and find out what happens in the stories. Pokemon Go, I had to do a Pokemon Go story every week, as I always do. They're creating something called the Legendary Lunch Hour, on the 13th of March, which is Wednesday, I guess. Let's see, today's the 9th, 10th, 11th. Yeah, Wednesday. They're going to do from 12 to 1. They're going to increase the spawns of increase the legendary raid battles at the gyms. You will only have a 10-minute egg, and then like a 40-minute or 50-minute chance to take out the legendary, but they're going to spread it out. So, if you're in an area that has lots of gyms, one gym will start at, say, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. One will start at 12:10. One will start at 12:20. One will start at 12:30. One will start at 12:40. One will start at 12:50. And go for that, full hour. So, gives everyone a chance to, get a legendary, quicker pace. And you're at lunch, so you can get a group together and do it, stuff like that. So it's more up for Dawn's speed. She'll go out with her crew from 12 to 1 and hit a few legendary raids. I have a couple of gyms in my area where I work, but I don't have teams, so I'm not really going to go out for that. But hey, if you are into that, go for it. Star Wars Land, or as known now as Star Wars Galaxy Edge, is a new land in both Disneyland and Disney World, with new rides, new attractions, new stuff. Now that Disney owns Star Wars, they created their whole land to add to their empire. Well, Disneyland is opening their Star Wars Galaxy's Edge on May 31st, and Disney World will be opening their Galaxy's Edge on August 29th. So this year, we'll see the rise of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I will recommend that if you want to go down to Disney on those days and go do the Star Wars Land, you're going to be waiting for a really, really long time. And it's going to be insanely crowded. It might be the best time to go to Disney World and Disneyland and hit all the other rides, because everybody's going to be at Star Wars Land. Massive Kraken was spotted underwater in a Japanese harbor. The Kraken's a giant squid. People have always heard stories about it. Pray tell and call them the Kraken. And there have been some proof that they've existed and stuff like that. Well, they're still around and they're swimming around. They just were photographed underwater in a Japanese harbor. So the Kraken's still around. So keep your eyes peeled for that. This summer, if you do not have a swimming pool that you go to, you belong to, and you just want, you want to get a pool, but you don't want to get like a little kiddie pool, because you have either the kiddie pool for young kids, or you got the big giant pool that is freestanding at your house, or you can go to the swimming pool club. Well, now they have a smaller version of the big swimming pool for grown-ups. It's a $40 inflatable pool that's going to be called the Mini Dip. It's available for $40 at Target. So it's big enough that it can house like 3 to 4 adults in the swimming pool to just hang out and chill. But, if you don't want to belong to a swimming club and you just want something quick and easy to do and something you can pop in your front yard or backyard or whatever, but not get one of the really big expensive ones, hey, just pop this mini dip pool in there, and there you go. Hang out and stay cool. Mad About You is one of my favorite TV shows, and they have been discussing a reboot. Well, the reboot has a date, a time, a location, and I don't have any of those, but I was just here to say that the Mad About You reboot will be coming soon. It's 10 episodes, and will be recast, and will be the same cast, Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt. I enjoyed the original series, so I might check out this new series. We'll check it out. Jerry Hat Tricks is a group of old people who play hockey. It's a good way, to keep going, keep doing exercise. And hey, if you love hockey, keep it going older. Why not? Anyone can play and keep it going. Here's some more stupid people news. This is a long headline, and this is probably it's stupid people, but it's also probably the weirdest headline of the week. And here it is. Florida man, Florida's messed up anyway, bites off brother's penis after he walks in on his brother having sex with his cousin on his favorite Dragon Ball Z blanket. One brother walks in on his other brother having sex with their mutual cousin on the brother who walks in's favorite Dragon Ball Z blanket. Brother walks in, is so angry at either the sex with the cousin or having it on the Dragon Ball Z blanket that he bites off his brother's penis. I don't know if I can actually add anything else to that. Man, these stories keep getting weirder and weirder. China plans to build the first solar-powered space station. Up to this point, it's like, what took it so long? You know, you're in outer space, and you've got the sun there 24/7 as you're rotating the Earth. Just stay on the sun side, and you can keep that sucker running forever using solar power. You won't have to worry about clouds or charging, keeping it in batteries or using it unless you get into the dark side of Earth, which is possible. But even then, you're only going to be there for a very short while, and you'll go out and you'll get the full burst of the sun to charge up your solar panels quicker. It's odd that no one has ever done anything like that before until now. I mean, I think there's some solar panels on a lot of these spaceships and stuff like that, but I don't think like a entire huge space station made entirely out of solar panels. I don't know about that. And speaking of stuff like that, a Swedish couple builds a greenhouse around their house to stay warm and grow food all year round. So I guess in Sweden, it's you're further north than most places, so you get a lot of cold winters. You get 24-hour sun and 24-hour darkness, and even your summer times are probably not in the 90s or 100, something like that. You're probably going to be in the 70s if you're lucky, even with 24-hour sun. Because of the low level, though, you probably aren't going to be like blasting heat. And at night, it probably will drop into the coldness. You know, when the sun isn't out 24/7, it probably will stay cold because you're so far north. So this makes sense. They build a literal greenhouse. So they have the house, and they build a greenhouse around the house, glass panels and all that stuff. And then as you walk out of the house, your yard gets the sun, and the heat is trapped in there because of the greenhouse, or the greenhouse effect works. And you can grow plants all year round. So you're out there, and it's warm, and it's snowing, but you're warm and you are out in your shorts gardening and getting food and surviving. And if you want to go out, you can. You just walk out the front door of the greenhouse and you're out in the cold and the snow and all that stuff. So it's not like you're trapped in there forever. But they literally built a glass house around their regular house to help keep their house warm and also to grow food all year round. And I think that's a brilliant idea, and particularly up in the Sweden area, where they are much higher, farther north, where it's a lot cooler. It's something like Iceland should do also. There's a straw out there now that lets you drink wine directly from the bottle, so you don't have to worry about getting wine glasses and dirtying wine glasses and only drinking a little bit of wine at a time. You just put the straw in. It's a really big long straw, and you just sip straight from the wine bottle. Why not? I know a lot of people like that. Speaking of alcohol, Pabst Blue Ribbon whiskey will be coming this summer. Pabst Blue Ribbon is considered probably one of the absolute worst beers of all time. And now they're creating a whiskey that'll be out in summer. If they can make it, it might be one of the worst beers of all time, but it's also one of the cheapest ones. You get like a 24-pack for like $6, something like that. And it's alcohol. It tastes awful, and it's cheap beer. And are they going to do cheap whiskey? If that's the case, hey, you get yourself cheap whiskey. Way to go. So good on that. I was talking about the straw that lets you drink wine directly from the bottle. Well, here's something else people might like. There's an alarm clock that'll brew coffee for you, which is also a lot of fun. You get the alarm clock, it goes off, and it starts brewing your coffee right away. Eventually, you wake yourself up, you grab your cup of coffee, you drink it. It's a brilliant idea, and go for it. Also, Amazon has a portable espresso machine you can buy now, where you can take your espresso and coffee anywhere you want, into the woods, the wilderness, or whatever, and make yourself a cup fresh and good. Actually, I was looking over some for Dawn, maybe for Easter, and I looked at the one that they were talking about in this story. It's close to $100, which makes sense. It's good, but it just makes espresso, so it's just really for people who like espresso. So I was looking through the stuff. I found a $20 one, French press, portable French press coffee maker thing, which would be kind of cool. It's a hand bar thing, and you put the coffee in, and you press a button and it presses the coffee. It presses that coffee and turns it into the coffee you can drink directly. So it's drinking fresh pressed coffee, but it's portable. So if you are camping or out on the beach or something like that, you just have it and put in a cup of coffee. Boom, you got it. So good on that. Mm. Man gets trapped in the snow for 5 days, eats Taco Bell hot sauce to stay alive. Now, I have a few questions about this. Now, I can think about it a little bit, but how do you get trapped in the snow for 5 days? Now, I guess if you're in a car and you hit a snowbank or something like that, and you get buried in the snow, I guess you can't. I guess you can't shift the snow because you can't open the door because the snow, when compressed like that, is fairly heavy. But then I thought, why wouldn't you just open your window and the snow might come into the car, but it would open. You can dig through that and dig through the snow and get out of the car that way and dig through the snow, unless you're like buried in an avalanche, which is a different story. This doesn't really say that. Or what's the other one? I was just thinking about it. I guess your car is broken down and you can't even start it to reverse it or move it or whatever, and you can't make enough noise to allow people to. I don't know. There's probably a reason why they were trapped in the snow for 5 days. I don't understand it why, but I've never had a situation like that before. But to survive on hot sauce alone, that's got to mess up your stomach, man, because hot sauce is rough. It'll keep you warm probably, but that'll mess up your stomach after a while. So 5 days being trapped in snow and eating nothing but hot sauce, burn your tongue off. And what about water? Where you can drink water? Did you eat some of the snow to get you your water? I don't know. I don't know how it works. FDA discovers asbestos in makeup from Claire's. So that's one of those boutique shops you see at the mall all the time. They have makeup and jewelry and stuff like that. Well, apparently the FBI did some tests on Claire's makeup and discovered asbestos in the makeup, which is kind of yucky. On the supernatural cryptozoology side, we haven't heard much from this creature yet, but we're starting to get paid for it in advance now. The Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, has been spotted 2 days. Spotted 3 times in 2 days. 3 times in 2 days. So Nessie is starting to make her presence felt a little bit more out in Scotland at Loch Ness. So maybe something is, spotted twice in 2 days. I guess maybe there's something to that coming up. Maybe he's going to start making their appearances more regular. So, hey, if you were interested in trying to spot some Nessie, head over to Loch Ness now and you might see her. A case full of untouched Aztec artifacts was found at Chichen Itza. It's always fun to discover untouched artifacts or new artifacts and not knowing what they are. It's quite the find for whoever found it. Museums are kill for it, and it'll give you a little bit of a look into the lives of the Aztecs who no longer really exist around us. The celestial buddy earth plush is a thing. It's an actual round earth plush with little legs and arms and a face on it. And it's cute and cuddly, and you can hug it, and it looks like the earth. It's got the greens and blues of the earth and whites, and it's good. The celestial buddy. It's soft and comfy and squeezable. FedEx to debut same-day delivery robots this summer. If you need a same-day box delivered or letter delivered or whatever, they will give it to one of these little robots and they will drive it to where it needs to go. Nothing can go wrong with that. A Medusa virus has been discovered that turns amoebas to stone. Obviously, that's why they call it Medusa virus. I don't know how a virus would turn a one-celled organism into stone, or how they discover that. But hey, if it's out there, let's hope that it stays that way and doesn't come out and turn us to stone. It's got to be some sort of chemical reaction that does that. A 8-year-old Mexican girl wins the Nuclear Science Prize for her invention, which is to heat water using only recyclable materials. So if you're homeless or whatever, and you want hot water, she has created a device that you can heat water just by using recyclable stuff. So good on her, an 8-year-old girl, who's Mexican, and with the way our local government, or not local, like our U.S. government hates Mexican kids, the fact that they're doing wonders hopefully will help them, put them over the edge, and kick some butt here and make names for themselves. And it's for the good cause. Speaking of St. Patrick's Day, there's a neat little trick for people who want to figure out something fun to do for St. Patrick's Day. Grab some Oreo cookies and you buy some edible gold spray, and you spray your Oreo cookies gold, and you got yourself gold coins you can give away and eat for St. Patrick's Day. So it's a cute idea if you're having a St. Patrick's Day party and you need a pot of gold that is edible. Why not get some bags of Oreos and just spray it with this edible gold spray, and you got yourself some really good stuff. Captain Marvel, as I said, came out this week. Shazam, which is DC's version of Captain Marvel, which is a male, comes out next month. Second trailer dropped on that. It's showing a little bit more about how Shazam is a 13-year-old boy who says magic words and becomes a superhero, a adult superhero, but still has the mindset of a 13-year-old, and how he doesn't think before he acts, and he causes a lot of damage, stuff like that. This gives a better view of what you're going to be expecting, and a good continuation of the story, that it's not just going to be, all fun and games while he discovers, with great power comes great responsibility. So good on that. It was pretty good. It was fun, and looking forward to that. I mean, I think the kids want to see it also. I wouldn't mind seeing it either. And there is such a place for both Captain Marvel and Shazam. And, DC and Marvel movies, you can compete all you want, but, as long as we get more superhero movies and they keep making money, hey, let's go for it. In fact, Zachary Levi, who is playing Shazam, went out of his way to protect Brie Larson's Captain Marvel by telling the assholes who've been bombing Rotten Tomatoes and other stuff, and talking about how terrible the movie is and stuff like that. It's like, there is no competition between us. You can enjoy both of our movies and give Captain Marvel a break. Go see the movie, you might enjoy it, type of thing. So that's good on that. Oh, geez. So we've had social media is both a curse and a blessing. But when you have these viral videos of weird things, as I said, the Bird Box Challenge I talked about weeks ago, where people were trying to do stuff blindfolded, including driving, which caused an accident, or eating Tide Pods, which is poison, for those who don't know what that is. It's soap that could kill you if you eat it. And then that goofy dance where people are driving their car and then they put it in neutral or something like that, but just let it keep drifting, and they do a little dance. That's dangerous also. So you've got all these viral videos that have been coming out over the last few months. Well, we have a new one now, and this one is quite disturbing, actually. It's throwing cheese slices at kids is the new fad on social media. So there are pictures of people, babies sitting at their, places, just eating their food and minding their own business, and then all of a sudden their parent just goes pop and throws a cheese slice and hits them in the face. It's like, why would you do that to your child? Because it looks funny, and the reaction is like, wow, what are you doing? Of course they're gonna do that. If someone threw a cheese slice at your face, that's what they would do to you too. And then there was someone who didn't have a kid, threw a cheese slice at his cat's face, and the cat freaked out. Of course, you don't throw stuff at your loved ones. You might think it's funny and it would be going viral, but no, it's not. It's basically bullying and abuse, throwing stuff at animals and kids. It's stupid, and these social media viral videos keep getting worse and worse. Wish there's something we could do to stop them, but there is no way to do it. So, oh well. Couple of stories from Australia, a land down under. First up, a woman in Australia catches an alien fish. She'd never seen it before. None of her friends have seen it before. It's like a worm-like type of thing. Some fishing people looked at it and they think it might be a worm goby, which is a worm thing that is, very rarely seen, but they exist out there, so it's possible. But it was just a bizarre-looking fish, and they never seen it before. Second, a paraglider, one of those guys where jumps from something and has like a parachute type of paraglider thing, and it takes them over things, and then they find a spot to land safely. Well, there's video with the guy that had his GoPro on and stuff where he's flying down and he's finding he's done his trip through the skies and over all the stuff. So he's getting ready to land on the safe spot. So he's coming down, and he lands safely. It's perfect. He's like, oh, this is great. And he turns and he sees two kangaroos hopping right towards him, and they start attacking him. So it's just funny to see, these Australian kangaroos attacking these paragliders. Again, showing that, animals are not taking our stuff anymore. Speaking of animals, an unusual friendship between a wolf and a bear have been shown in a series of photographs. So again, as I'm saying, the animals seem to be figuring out new things, new species appearing all the time. I talked about the orca, the new orca, this weird alien fish, and then kangaroos attacking humans, and now bears and wolves are friends. What's going on, man? All kinds of crazy stuff. There's also a 700-pound alligator found in Georgia. It's 13 feet long. Again, these animals are going absolutely crazy, and they're gotta watch out. Also, this is an interesting story too. I have a Pikachu costume back there, and one of these days I'm going to try to seduce my wife by wearing it because I know she's a huge Pokemon fan, but I have a Pikachu costume. There is something I saw on Twitter, of all places, actually, which was really funny, a series of pictures where a guy came into his house dressed up as Pikachu. It was a big Pikachu costume, so it wasn't small. It was a pretty big one. His dog didn't recognize him, and the next picture is a dog attacking his owner wearing the Pikachu outfit. So I think that was just kind of funny. Medieval bed boxes are making a return. I don't know if you've ever been to a museum or toured a historical house or whatever, and there's this giant box in the bedroom, and you open up the doors, and there's actually a mattress inside. It was a form of a bed that they used to have in the old days where, I guess it's actually probably a good way to have privacy, because you could get it on, have some sex in there, and no one would know because the doors would be closed and it'd be a box, and its sound is probably compressed and stays in there, and you can do whatever you want in there, and no one would know what you were doing because the door's closed. I mean, you're not, you have your bed, and you have your sex in your bed, but kids could walk in or whatever, unless you lock the door, obviously. But then you'd have to lock the door, so on and so forth. But here, you just get the bed and you put it in a big giant box, and you get in and you get naked and you close the door and lock it so nobody can come in, and then you get it on, and somebody comes in the bedroom, they won't know you're there, maybe, because it's probably soundproof. So that's making a comeback. So medieval bed boxes are making a comeback. That's good. Something a lot of people have never seen before: on the Niagara River, an ice tsunami was discovered. It was a giant flood of ice making its way down the Niagara River, which is the river where Niagara Falls are, from Canada into New York. But this was a massive flood of ice and snow, which really had never been seen before. Starbucks has just opened a 4-story coffee shop in Tokyo, and I want to open a 2-story here in Reisterstown. 4-story, though, would be kind of amazing too, but I there is height restrictions here in Reisterstown, so I couldn't open a 4-story one, though. Thinking about more and more, that might actually be a really good idea. But hey, if you want a 4-story coffee house, go on over to Japan. Japan has the greatest stuff, man. And now they have a 4-story Starbucks. Could the cure for cancer be coming in a year? That's the big story out of science right now. A lot of people believe that they have unlocked the way to cure cancer. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I mean, AIDS has been getting taken care of recently as well. So maybe we're finally reaching that point where we're starting to discover things after years and years of study. That would be good. Speaking of the Japanese, a Japanese woman has been named the oldest human according to the Guinness Book of World Records. She clocks in at the age of 116 years old. So she is now the newest oldest woman in the world, oldest person in the world, I should say. 116 years old, which means, let's think about this a second. It's 2019. 100 years ago was 1919. 16 years, 1903. So she was born in 1903. And here we are in 2019, 116 years later. And that woman is still alive. So good on her. A Chicago aquarium has created an interactive sea otter exhibit where you can actually interact with the sea otters, I guess, touch them and pet them and do stuff with them and feed them and stuff like that, or work with them or whatever. They had just a quick picture of like a young boy in one side of glass and a sea otter on the other side of the glass, doing something. But there was like a little doorway, so he's like feeding it or something like that. So that's good. Sea otters are cool. A modern day witch claims she cosmically ordered a man who was equal to Tom Hiddleston to match with her on Tinder, and it worked, according to her. The witches, they believe in earth magic and stuff like that. She wished to the cosmos, hey, can we have, I'm lonely, I would like to find a guy who's equal to Tom Hiddleston to match with me on Tinder. And the next day, some dude local near her who had all the attributes that she liked, that was very Tom Hiddleston-esque, popped up, and they have been dating now for a couple of years now. So good on that. There is now a Roomba, but for weeds. You know, Roombas are those robotic vacuum cleaners that help clean up your house and go around by itself. You don't have to do anything, and they just clean up all the messes. Well, now they have a Roomba weed cutter where you just let it loose in your garden and your yard or whatever, and it takes out all the weeds. And that's kind of a cool idea. And the final story of the day is because it happened to me not 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, probably closer to 4 hours ago. Maybe 3 hours ago. I personally, this year, 2019, we're in March, I've been pulled over by the police 3 times this year so far. Once in January, once in February, and once in March. Now, the first 2 were my own fault. In January, I was pulled over because up at Hannah Moore, which is right down the street here, I was pulled over by a police officer because he said that my driver's side light was out, brake light was out. And I don't know if that also includes the arrow, but he said he was going to give me a warning. I was like, okay, I was going to go take the car in to get fixed. And I was going to ask them to change the light bulb. So I thought that was all it was. They just need to change the light bulb. So I go down, I get my car fixed, and they change the light bulb. And they say it works fine. So I'm driving. And I was like, okay, nothing seems to be bothering it. And then a few days later, I noticed that the light's out again. I was like, oh, wonderful. So I was like, I'm not even going to worry about this right now. There's probably a short or something. Next time I get my car fixed, I'll ask them to take a look at that. So last month, it was last month, yeah. Late last month. No, it was this month. I'm sorry, it was March. So unfortunately, my story kind of loses up. I wasn't pulled over in February, but I was pulled over twice in March. Last weekend, when I went shopping for Dawn on the 2nd for her birthday, I got pulled over again by a police officer because of my light being out, because the light bulb didn't take, and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't think about it. Saying the light was out again, and this time they gave me a work order. I have 30 days to get it repaired. It's like, okay, I was going to take my car into the shop anyway this week to get it taken a look at. So I take it into the shop this week, and they say it's going to take a couple days to get the part to replace it. And I don't have time to leave my car there overnight because they had to fix some other stuff as well that was going to be done that day. So I said, I'll try to find something local here. I was going to try to do it this weekend, but we got a little busy today, and because there's a couple of places around here that might be able to do it. So I got to think about it. I have 30 days to do it, so I still got a couple of weeks before I get to a little bit of trouble. So I have to do that. So I was pulled over for that. And then today we were going to Hannah Moore Park again after dark, and we got pulled over again. This time the park is closed, and they were wondering what we were doing, and we were Pokemon Go hunting, and they're like, you're not the first person we pulled over for that, because the park's closed, you can't be here. It's like, okay, that's fine. So we know that now, and that's the story of me being pulled over 3 times so far. So I got to get this thing fixed. Hopefully I'll get it done sooner than later. Found out this week my transmission is messed up, so that's going to be another expense for this car. This car has been driving me absolutely bonkers, but I have to keep moving it because we cannot afford a car payment right now. Don't forget to turn your clocks ahead an hour before you go to bed on Saturday night, or if you forget about it, do it first thing Sunday morning. If you're watching this on Monday or Tuesday and you didn't do it, well, you're in a lot of trouble now because it's daylight savings time. It means it's going to be dark in the morning and lighter in the evening. So it'll be lighter later, meaning 7 o'clock at night. It'll still be light out. So that's good. And that's the first sign that spring and summer are coming. So good on that. That's it for this week's show. I'm going to do the anniversary stuff and then the Check Eye Day stuff. The Watchmen movie came out in 2009, so that's been 10 years now. It took forever, but it was probably the best adaptation that they could have done for the series, because the book itself is really hard to do, but they did a really good job with this adaptation and was very happy with it. The Birdcage came out in 1996, which is the one problem I have with that is had Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, and Robin Williams' character is supposed to be in love with Nathan Lane's character, and he just seemed to be too much of a overwhelming jerk to Nathan Lane's character, who was the typical outrageous gay person. So I don't know if I like that character too much that Robin Williams played in that one. Entertaining movie though, I guess. Lean on Me came out in 1989. That was Morgan Freeman, it was a biopic about that principal in the inner city school that made the news in the 1980s about how he cleaned up an inner city school that was known for drug dealing and murders and stuff like that. And he carried around a baseball bat to threaten people who threatened him and stuff like that. And they made a movie out of it called Lean on Me. New Jack City came out 28 years ago. It was Wesley Snipes, Judd Nelson, Ice-T, Chris Rock, and it was directed by Martin Van Peebles. And he, it's a typical sort of blaxploitation drug type of thing, but it had a kicky soundtrack, and it was an interesting movie, and I saw that too. Lethal Weapon premiered in 1987, which still is a trope that movies use nowadays. The grizzled veteran who is getting too old for this stuff only has a few days left, and he gets a new partner who's a wild and crazy guy, but we find out later on that he's suicidal, so he doesn't care, and the two of them join together and they sort of save each other. It spawned 3 other sequels, or 4 of those movies up there, and a TV show. That Mel Gibson, Danny Glover are the main characters on that one. And Richard Donner, I think, did all of those Lethal Weapon movies too. Pretty in Pink came out in 1986. I was wrongly thought that John Hughes directed that one. He did not. He just wrote it. Howard Deutsch directed Pretty in Pink. Interesting stuff about Pretty in Pink was John Hughes wrote it for Molly Ringwald, who was his muse, having appeared in Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. And they got the name of the movie from her. Basically, he came in to talk to her once in her trailer, and she was listening to the Psychedelic Furs song Pretty in Pink. And he found out what the name of it was and thought that would be a good name for the movie. So he named that the movie. Also, in John Cryer's autobiography, he talked about his character of Ducky and how originally in the original script, Ducky was supposed to get the girl in the end. He was the geeky, nerdy best friend who was in the friend zone, really, and was in love with Molly Ringwald's character and tried to, get her to love him too, but she was too focused on Andrew McCarthy's rich boy. In the original story, she ended up with Ducky, John Cryer's character. But when they played that to test audiences, the test audiences hated that. They wanted to see Molly Ringwald get with the rich guy and change her life, because she's a poor girl and she gets with the rich guy and they appear to really, really love each other a lot. And John Cryer was too goofy, I guess, for her or whatever. So they wanted them to so they reshot it, and that's how that happened. James Spader continuing to play asshole guys he always does. So there's that one. Pretty in Pink, 1986. Harry Dean Stanton in that as well. Robotech, one of my favorite cartoons, debuted this week in 1985. 65 episodes divided over 80 some. It was like 80 some episodes divided over 3 series that covered like 25 years, maybe not 25 years, but 10, 15 years. You had the original Robotech series, which is the longest, with Rick Hunter and Lisa Hayes and Max and Ben and the Zentradi and all that. You had 2 storylines there where you had the new pilot, Rick, getting used to all the new tech and stuff like that, and then becoming the grizzled veteran, and then the final battle with the bad guys, or so they thought, and then they assimilated the bad aliens into their culture, but then there was a group that wanted to get back to the way things were, so you had a second war that happened, and that ends that. There's romance in that, a love triangle that permeates for that first series. Then you have the Robotech Masters, which focuses on the daughter of 2 of the main characters from the original Robotech, as she is dealing with a new alien crisis in this small storyline. Masters is my favorite, but it's still pretty good. And then there was New Generation, where a new alien species came to attack Earth, and a new group of heroes came to save the day. I love that one as well. So Robotech's a great series. If you can find the different they have them divided up. They have the Robotech series divided up into a couple of different DVD sections, and then they have the Masters, and then they have Next Generation, New Generation. So you can get which ones you like. They have the box sets of just the ones you want, so you can get the ones you want, or you can get them all. I have them all. They're back there somewhere. So good on that. I always liked the Robotech. Everyone knows I have a huge crush on Sarah Michelle Gellar. Well, Cruel Intentions, her movie where she played a sex-obsessed badass bitch, came out 20 years ago this week. Her luscious brown hair, gorgeous body, and a little bit more of a sex drive in this one than her usual stuff made this a pretty good movie. But everybody remembers what's her name? Oh, geez, the other main characters. I forget them right now. But Cruel Intentions, I'm just thinking of Sarah Michelle Gellar in all her glory. So never mind. So we'll do that. That came out 20 years ago. Big Lebowski came out 21 years ago from the Coen brothers. The Dude Abides. Jeff Bridges reprised his role in a Stella Artois beer commercial, which is great. Police Squad, 1982, was the precursor to Naked Gun. Police Squad was a 6-episode TV series that came out during the summer, and was done by people who did Airplane, and it didn't do too well, but it was a parody of cop shows. And then when they wanted to do the film version, Naked Gun, which was the movie versions of Police Squad, interest came back to the TV show, and they re-aired the TV show, and it became a bigger ratings boost. So Police Squad was where it first pops up. And so we have that. Splash, Tom Hanks is one of his big roles, 35th anniversary of this year. I guess that makes it 1984 then. Daryl Hannah, John Candy, the aforementioned John Candy is in that one. Eugene Levy, great romantic comedy with Ron Howard, one of his first films he ever directed. Just a great movie, fun. And again, John Candy doing a great role, and Tom Hanks, showing his range, even though he's fairly new at that as well. Eugene Levy, as always, and Daryl Hannah was luminous. And then finally, I'm going to fast forward here a little bit because I like it. This is the theme song from a movie that came out in 1988. Hairspray, John Waters' before it became a musical. This is John Waters' 1988 film version of it, which is, to me, better than the musical. Filmed right here in Baltimore. The last film with Divine in it has a cast of wonderful actors, including Sonny Bono, Ricky Lake, Michael St. Gerard. Who else do we got? Jerry Stiller was in it as well. And I forget some of the other actresses and actors in it, but it's probably one of the most accessible John Waters films. The premise is 1950s Baltimore. Actually, we used to do, and this is based on a true story, used to do a dance show, where kids after school would dance, and they were, it was a popular show and people liked to watch it, and new dances were introduced, stuff like that. But it was white kids only. So this film talks about desegregating the dance party and bringing black kids in to the chance to dance as well as the white kids on live TV. And it's a big thing, but it's a great movie. It is, as I said, one of the most accessible John Waters movies. If you ever need to get into John Waters, this one is probably the best one to get into. And then you got a few other ones like Serial Mom and Cry Baby and stuff like that down there. And then you get to his harder stuff, which was during his drug-addled days. But it is a great movie, and it spawned a Broadway musical that won all kinds of awards. And I prefer this version of it better. But the song I just played was the theme song for it, and it's just a great opening sequence of the movie as the kids are getting ready for going on the air, and the song's playing. They're doing their hairspray and they're practicing their dance moves. It's a credit to running. It's a great sequence, and I'm happy I found that. Finally, we're going to do Check Eye Day. I'm not doing a comic haul this week because to be honest, I'm getting kind of tired of doing them, and no one really watches them anyway, so we'll see. Maybe I'll do one later. I don't know, whatever. So let me check here. Check Eye Day. Here we go. So today is, because I already have tomorrow's already up. Today is Amerigo Vespucci Day, Bang Clang Day, Barbie Day, False Teeth Day, Genealogy Day, Get Over It Day, International Fanny Pack Day, Joe Franklin Day, National Crab Meat Day. Oh, we missed the opportunity to get that crab pretzel this week. National Meatball Day. Oh, we could have gotten a meatball sub too. So I would have gotten the crab pretzel and meatball sub if we would have gone to Red Robin, but went to Red Robin instead. So that was today. Yesterday, March 8th, was Girls Right Now Day, International Women's Day, Middle Name Pride Day, National Be Nasty Day, National Peanut Cluster Day, National Preschoolers Day, National Proofreading Day, National Tartar Sauce Day. March 7th was Name Tag Day, National Be Heard Day, National Cereal Day, National Crown Roast of Pork Day. March 6th was Alamo Day, Ash Wednesday, Dentist Day, Discover What Your Name Means Day, National Dress Day, National Frozen Foods Day, National Oreo Cookie Day, National White Chocolate Cheesecake Day, Stop Bad Service Day. And then tomorrow, the 10th, is U.S. Paper Money Day, start of Daylight Savings Time, which means you have to turn your clocks ahead an hour before you go to bed tonight. Salvation Army Day, Pack Your Lunch Day, National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, National Blueberry Popover Day. It's Mario Day, Mario. Landline Telephone Day, International Day of Awesomeness, International Bagpipe Day is tomorrow. Sweet. Histotechnology Professionals, Festival of Life in the Cracks Day, and Check Your Batteries Day. I guess because, when you turn your clocks back, they always recommend that you change your smoke alarm batteries as well, because, that way, okay, we've got a few months before, it comes up again. So you'll be able to do that. So, whoops, I don't want to do that. I want to do this because it is International Bagpiping Day. We're going to end the show with some bagpipes. Don't forget to turn your clocks ahead an hour. Saturday night before you go to bed. If you're watching this later on, do it today on Sunday at 2 a.m. this morning. Do it Sunday morning when you get up. Or if you forget, do it when you see it next. But you should be all over it. And enjoy International Bagpipe Day tomorrow. Go see Captain Marvel in the movie theaters and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great week. Next weekend, St. Patrick's Day weekend. Bye.